Hey, gang, and welcome to yet another edition of Landis Confidential. This is rescheduled. Chris is not going to be able to join me live tonight, but I should have Candace on here with me. Not just yet, but here soon. She had to take care of a couple of things. Hey, Blissful, a couple of things before she was actually able to get on here with me. So I'm going to try my best to keep you guys entertained until she is here and able to discuss Trading Places, Twilight Zone, the movie, and Into the Night. It may just be me talking about Into the Night because I don't think Candace has seen that one. So, um, but I wanted to talk about a few things while I'm waiting for Candace to get on here. And one of those things is I got a little bit of a late start, but this is Argento August. And so we're going to have all kinds of Dario Argento related programming coming up this month. We're going to have some watch alongs, some apples and oranges, all kinds of good stuff. So tomorrow night, instead of Everybody Wants England. We'll get back to Everybody Wants England after August is over. In September, we'll start the remaining episodes of Everybody Wants England. But I'm going to do a pre-recorded stream tomorrow to be uploaded at a undetermined time right now for a segment that I'm going to call Argento, Sweet Argento, which is a play, of course, on Alice, Sweet Alice, the horror film that a lot of people seem to really, really get into. So that's coming up tomorrow night. Don't know for sure what I'm going to be talking about but it will be Argento related. Wednesday will be a live stream, apples and oranges, Tenebrae or Inferno. You decide which is the better film. I know already which one I think is a better film, and I'll be talking about that on Wednesday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's our apples and oranges for the week. Thursday, will probably be a triple threat review show, but it'll be all Argento movies. So be sure to tune in for all of that. And then on Friday, me and Candace will not be talking about Argento. We may a little bit, but we'll be talking about our favorite horror masks, makeup, and characters part 2, or part duo, as Joe Bob Briggs would say. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about some things I've got going on. For those of you that may have caught it, every Sunday from now until the week before Horror Hound Weekend, I will be doing a countdown to Horror Hound Weekend. If you caught Sunday's show, I did a pre-recorded show and I talked about the guests that are going to be at Horror Hound. And next Sunday, I will talk about, or this coming Sunday, I will talk about another part of Horror Hound Weekend. So be sure to tune in for all of those things. You can watch those on the replay, as you can watch most of these things on the replay, if not all. Won't have any watch-alongs coming up this weekend, but the weekend after that will be Deep Red and Tenebrae watch-alongs for Saturday and Sunday. Blissful says, this is exciting. Well, thank you, Blissful. I appreciate that. I'm not sure how many people we will have in here. I might chase all these people away before Candace is in here. I hope not. But the watch alongs for not this weekend, but the next weekend again will be Deep Red and Tenebrae. So be sure to, can't even talk. I've been sort of sleepy. Be sure to tune in for all of that upcoming. Just want to remind everybody that I do have a Discord. It's free to join. Um, and if you're interested in joining, hold on here. I will put the link for you in the chat. Now, I know, as I've said before, I know some people aren't big on Discords. It's just not their thing, which is okay. But if you would like to join, you can introduce yourself. There's a bunch of other channels. You can talk about movies, you can talk about books, you can talk about music, you can talk about new releases you're excited about, or maybe a new release that you've gotten in you want to share with everybody. We can talk about boutique labels. Just like I said, a whole bunch of channels that you can enter into and talk about things with like-minded people. And two, as I've said before about my Discord, I want my Discord to be different from some of the ones I've seen out there where people just run willy-nilly and say whatever they want in there, and they're, rude or bully people or make fun of people. And we don't want to have any of that in the Deadites on Deck Discord. Um, I also have a Patreon. The highest tier is $25 a month. The $5 a month seller Deadite tier, new members will be recognized via a monthly video shout out. You get the ability to vote on upcoming watch alongs and live stream topics. Um, the Henrietta Deadite tier at $10 a month. This is for the ultra fan of Deadites on Deck. You'll get all the perks from the first tier, plus access to exclusive commentaries not available for general consumption, live members only chats, and a free Evil Dead chick button, which I guess it's not actually free, but you get it with your $10 a month. The Groovy tier at $25 a month. This is for the hardcore Deadites on Deck fan. This tier includes all the perks of the previous two tiers, plus the ability to request certain movies for the Deadites on Deck team to do watch alongs for, and your choice of an official Deadites on Deck t shirt, hat, or mouse pad. And I will put that. No, Barry Manilow talks. It's not allowed, Lori. Or Blissful. Sorry. Uh, I don't think Blissful will care if I use her real name sometimes. Sometimes I slip up because I guess I think I'm talking to her through Messenger or something. So I have the link to the Patreon in there. I also have a couple of new channels. One is Waiting on Woodstock, the one that me and Candace got to get together and actually put some content on. A lot of the content, most of it, in fact, will be pre-recorded stuff from the '60s era, including some true crime stuff. We're going to talk about some true crime cases from the '60s and the '70s. Also, me and Steve have a new channel. We watch movies. I still need to put up the second episode of that where we talk about the movies we've watched every couple of weeks. So, I think since Candace isn't quite here yet, why don't I go ahead and talk about Into the Night, since I think that's the one that she has not seen. So, Into the Night and it's probably a good thing I haven't put the We Watch Movies up just yet, because I talk about it on there because I had forgotten and thought I'd already talked about it on Landis Confidential. But so Into the Night stars Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Pfeiffer. And Jeff Goldblum is a burnt out aerospace aerospace engineer who is unable to sleep. And so he also finds out his wife is having an affair with her coworker. And so he just gets out of bed one night. He can't sleep anyway, gets in his car and drives to the airport, where Michelle Pfeiffer has just arrived with a guy that it looks like maybe they went on a date or something. They get attacked by these guys that remind me of terrorists, and John Landis plays one of them. And they attack Michelle Pfeiffer's character and the guy she's with. And they kill the guy and they try to kill her. And we find out later that they're wanting some jewels that she has stolen, and they want them. So they keep trying to kill her. So it begins a madcap adventure with her and Jeff Goldblum as they try to avoid these crazy guys who are trying to kill them because they want these jewels or stones. And I had never seen this particular John Landis movie. Steve had, a long time ago. I think he said it used to play on cable a lot. And, but I really liked it. It was from 1985, I believe. And, it had a lot of the hallmarks of John Landis films. And I really, really enjoyed it and would like to watch it again. I didn't see it anywhere for free. I did end up renting it just so I could watch it for this particular stream. And I guess I could go ahead and give my rating on this one. And I'll go ahead and give this one 4 deadites out of 5 because it's definitely worth a watch. Not my all-time favorite John Landis film, but it's pretty far up there. I really, really enjoyed it, and definitely could see myself either buying it or watching it again in one format or another. But that is Into the Night from 1985. But I don't really want to go any further till Candace gets here and we can talk about Trading Places and Twilight Zone the movie. So why don't we just, Candace and the devil, but speak of the devil, Candace is backstage. So I'm going to go ahead and add Candace here.
Hey, Dana. Caught me with my glasses off. Sorry I'm late.
No problem. I just did a little housekeeping stuff and talked about Into the Night and went on and gave my rating for it because I knew that was one that you hadn't watched. So
yeah, I've not seen that one, and I wish I would have went ahead and watched the Twilight Zone the movie and Trading Places, to refresh myself, and I had meant to do that, but didn't get around to doing it. But I know, I've watched them several times. So,
yeah, I didn't rewatch them either. I probably should have because I like both of them, especially Trading Places.
Yeah,
Trading Places is just a lot of fun. But Blissful says, "Speak of the sweetheart is more like it." Yeah, that's right. Candace is a sweetheart. She's not a devil.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I try not to be mean, but
me and Candace talk to each other about how mean we can be sometimes.
Oh my gosh, especially whenever stuff gets frustrating. It's hard not to be.
And speaking of Chris, bless his heart, I saw where he had gotten his tall man Funko Pop in, and
Yes.
that was just terrible the way they packaged that thing.
It come in a little small bubble mailer, and it was crushed all to pieces. And that's not the first time that that's ever happened. That's happened several times from Amazon. With I mean, they just ship stuff that they know is collectible in these little bubble mailers, and they
Why
come.
did they just put them in a box?
I don't understand that. Well, those Funko Pops come in a box from Funko. So
Yeah.
why are they even out of those little small boxes that they could easily just ship them in anyway? So that don't even make no sense.
Mm-mm.
So I don't know. I don't. I
It
don't
looked
know.
like somebody had manhandled the box, the main box that the figure was in.
It looked like something like, have you ever watched Ace Ventura: Pet Detective? Whenever he's at the beginning, he's dressed up like that UPS guy and he's kicking that box
Yeah,
down the hallway and he's stepping on it and stuff, trying to get that dog from that man. Well, that's what it looked like it come in. The figure wasn't damaged, but it's a wonder.
mm-hmm.
So, and he's got a bunch of other really cool pop figures ordered from them, like including those black light Universal Monster ones.
Oh,
So he's really afraid that they're going to end up being like that too, and very well could be.
I
Very
hope not. I'm gonna. Um, I guess you could pray about that his figures don't get
Oh
destroyed
my
on the
gosh,
way there.
it's just
Uh,
crazy.
but Candace, do you want to? Since they already had to listen to me talk and blab a little bit. Did you want to go ahead and start talking about trading places?
If you want to, but if you want to give a little like a synopsis of it, that would be better than me trying to explain it.
Okay.
Trading Places was actually a movie that my dad loved. He loved that movie. He was really big into like Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like one of those films. And I actually learned later on, I'm pretty sure that John Landis had actually wanted Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor to be in this movie, but they didn't. So that's why he cast Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, which I still think is
I think,
worked
yeah,
out great.
I think that they worked out perfectly. So, in a nutshell, the Trading Places story, and here's one of the big things before I really get in the story. People will always talk about this was the movie where Jamie Lee Curtis popped her top.
Oh, definitely. And let me tell you something. That was one of the things I've heard around my house, the men talking about. So
Yeah,
that
and
scene.
and she, let everybody see her two enormous talents, as Joe Bob Briggs would say. And that's all I'm going to say there. If you don't get it by what I'm saying there, then go watch Trading Places
Yeah.
after me and Candace get done here.
Yeah.
But basically, the story is there's a guy that has no money.
Yeah.
He's basically, down on his luck, out on the streets. And then that guy is played by Eddie Murphy.
Hmm.
Then you have another guy who has it all. But as we know, sometimes when you have it all, you don't really have it all,
Yeah.
right? So I think both of the men in this movie their characters learn a valuable lesson.
Yeah. Because you kind of have one that's very privileged and then one that is less than privileged. So I mean, it's funny. It's a funny comedy. It's hilarious. If you've never seen it, give it a watch. You'll love it. But there is a really big lesson to be learned in this film. So, it's a comedy, but it's got that, I guess, valuable lesson in it as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are other films that kind of play around with these things on different levels
Yeah.
where you actually have body switching. but I think of those as kind of like similar themes. I
Yeah.
mean, you have stuff like Freaky Friday.
Mhm.
You have like Father Like Son with Dudley Moore and Kirk Cameron, and
Well, that's been
they
so long since I've seen that
yeah.
movie.
But I was like, am I going to remember the title of that one? Um, oh gosh, Vice Versa with Judge Reinhold and Fred Savage, where they switch bodies. Now, in Trading Places, you don't actually have two people that are their minds are going into another body,
No.
but you have two men who think that they want what the other has
Yeah.
until they are actually thrown into that arena, so to
Mm.
speak. And it also, I think it teaches the viewer some very valuable lessons too about take a look at what you actually do have. And you may realize that you have a lot more than you thought you did, whether it's, money, friends, fame,
Yeah.
whatever it is, because that might not actually be what you're looking for. And people say, "Oh, now Dana, I want money," but just think about it for a little bit. Everybody has wished that they had more money
Oh,
to do
yeah.
more things, to not have to worry about bills. Um, but sometimes more money or more fame or even more friends. Candace is always talking to me about keeping, and I hope she don't mind me saying this, about keeping your friend circle small.
Yeah.
And that has been something that I've really had to teach myself and realize that Candace is right when she says that. The smaller you keep your friend circle, the better off you're going to be. You don't need hundreds of thousands of
No.
friends.
No.
And if you did have, all those people aren't going to be your real friends anyway.
No.
So, uh, fame equals living in a fishbowl, Blissful.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right. And hey, Phil, I didn't want to uh, forget to mention that Phil's in here. I love seeing Phil in here because um, there was a time where, I would think about Phil and I would think, gee, I ain't seen Phil in a long time, not at any conventions or anything. And then he started popping up in these streams from time to time. So I appreciate that, Phil, a lot. Um, so you throw Jamie Lee Curtis's character in the mix of all this, and you've just got nearly the perfect movie. And so rather than ramble on and on about it, that, in a nutshell, is what the movie is about. But I'm
So,
going to turn it back over to Candace, and she can talk about things that she enjoys, or maybe the first time she watched it, or
well, it's got some pretty memorable scenes in it, and I always remember one that always stuck out to me. Me and my brother would joke about it all the time. To me, is just one of, like, when it comes to Eddie Murphy, it's funny because he, at the beginning of the movie, it shows him, and he's like this guy who is on this, like, skateboard type thing, and you think that he is missing limbs, but and he's a beggar on the street. So when you first meet Eddie Murphy, that's what you think his character's going to be. You think that he has, this poor guy just out on the street. He's homeless, begging for money, and he's down on his luck, but he also has a disability that's keeping him from, doing a lot of things. So he just has it bad all over. But then you realize that he's kind of scamming everybody with
right,
this disability, and you find out that he isn't missing any limbs. That part was always really funny. Uh, that I just thought was a great way to introduce that character, because it kind of shows what kind of person that he is. And then
hmm
you got Dan Aykroyd, who is very, what would you call him? Like high strung, not high strung, but very uppity, like. very
yes.
spoken, you know.
Sophisticated.
Yes. Very, you would think that he would be one of these people that always goes around with his nose up in the air.
Mhm.
So when their roles are basically reversed, I think there's a scene, Dana, correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember it. And I wish I had watched it before because it's been quite a long time since I've seen it. But there's like a part where it shows Dan Aykroyd when they first arrest him and stuff. He is getting his mug shot and he's all disheveled and dirty. And that always just it's like, well, now he's going to feel what it feels like to be these people. I don't really, he doesn't come off as somebody who looks down on people, but he's one of these people who is just really, what would you say, Dana? Like, in, he's entrapped into his lifestyle. Like
Yeah,
everything
yeah, it's like you get the feeling that he was born into this
is
lifestyle.
privilege, just
Mhm.
he stinks of privilege. So whenever you get to see him down in this, he's like, well, he doesn't know what to do because he's never experienced this. He's seen these kind of people out and about on the streets, but he just, like I said, walks by them probably with his nose stuck up in the air. So now he's getting to experience this. But probably the most memorable scene and the most hilarious scene is one that my dad absolutely loved because, like I said, this was one of his favorite movies. Um, is the scene towards the end, and I don't want to give it all away, but there's a scene that involves a gorilla and a train, and that scene is probably one of the funniest scenes
Mhm.
in a comedy movie. It's to me, and he loved that. I mean, he was just so funny. So, like I said, I don't want to give it away, for people who's not seen it, and it kind of makes me want to go and watch it. So, just to see that again. But um, to me, that just that scene alone with the gorilla makes it all worthwhile.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you agree, Dana? I mean, it's
Yeah,
really
yeah. I mean, and John Landis has a thing about using gorillas a lot in his movies. In fact, his first movie, Schlock, was quite a bit about a gorilla. Now, have you seen Schlock, Candace?
no.
You should watch that one. There, I think it's on YouTube for free.
Okay.
And I mean, it's very low budget and all that, but John Landis is actually in the gorilla suit.
Really?
I think I think every time you see Schlock, the gorilla, it's John Landis in that suit. Um, but it's an interesting little movie for for his first film. Um, and uh, even in American Werewolf in London, which I did the watch along for last night, there is a scene in the zoo where David wakes up and he's in the wolf enclosure
Yeah.
and he's naked and, craziness ensues. But there are gorillas seen in that scene as well. So I don't know if John Landis just has a fondness for gorillas or he's interested in them, but they are used quite a bit in his films.
Well, it worked out really well in Trading Places. I mean, just a classic comedy scene, I think. Because it's not one of these. I mean, as a kid, I watched it. You know, maybe it shouldn't have been, but I watched some questionable things that I probably wouldn't allow my kid to watch at that age. But you know, um, it's just one of those classic movies, and I often wonder, like after finding out that you know he did want Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, which is classic. I look at Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor like a Martin and Lewis or Abbott and Costello or
Yeah.
something. Um, they have that chemistry with one another that just really works in these movies.
Mhm.
And my dad really loved them. He was a huge Richard Pryor fan, huge Gene Wilder fan. So he loved their movies together. I often wonder after learning that, how would it have turned out with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor? I would have liked to seen that as well, but I'm glad that they did go with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd,
Yeah.
because that's the one we know, but it makes you wonder how it would have turned out with them as well. Would
Yeah,
it have been as
I
funny? I
wonder.
mean, you know,
It would have worked, definitely,
it,
but eh, I do love the dynamic with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, though. That worked too, and that was the movie we got.
yeah,
And I think, you know, considering Landis couldn't get the other two, I think he made a great choice in bringing these guys together
yeah.
for the film. And by the way, hey, Steve Mayers. I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. He says, "Greetings, ladies and flick fiends."
Hey,
So it's good to see another new face in here, and hopefully we'll keep. For some well, I don't guess it's an odd reason, but for some reason, I have gained 17 new subscribers since
great.
Saturday night. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. But I also like the Duke brothers in this film.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Donna Manchi.
Yeah.
What's the other?
Gosh.
Ralph something.
Is it Ralph Bellamy?
Ralph Bellamy. Yeah, I
Okay.
really like them. I think that they work too. You see them in a lot of different films from around that time and stuff, and um, I like that. Does it give you um? No, it's totally different concept and stuff, but does it give you Brewster's Millions vibes?
Kinda, yeah.
'Cause it's a film that you could see Richard Pryor in.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I like I said, I wish I had watched it so I could talk about it more in depth because, like I said, it's been probably a few years since I've seen it, but, um, great film. If you've not seen it, you wanna see Jamie Lee Curtis as a, woman of the night, so to speak so to speak,
Yeah.
and, you know
I always remember that line from the original Scream, uh, where he says, she never showed her tits till she went legits. And because I remember Nev Campbell's character saying, you know, her and her friend Tatum are like going through the movies that they got to watch tonight, and you know, it was like Terror Train and The Fog and Halloween and all these things. Why is Jamie Lee Curtis? Oh, Prom Night. Why is Jamie Lee Curtis in all these? And and they're like, cause she's the scream queen, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
I just always I liked many scenes in Scream, but when they talked about Jamie Lee Curtis and stuff, it was and they talked about the rules. Like the first Scream was the best Scream because
Yeah.
I mean, dare I say it? I think you know I know we're not talking about the Scream movies, but that just talking about Jamie Lee Curtis made me think of that. It's the whole thing with Randy and him knowing the rules and doing all that stuff. He just felt like a kindred spirit, and that movie was so special because horror was pretty much in the dumpster
Yeah.
at that point, and this kind of God bless Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven, I guess, because they brought it back from the brink of extinction, horror movies anyway. Um, but I hate to say it, and some people might want to throw tomatoes at me, but I just feel like after that first Scream, that was the one true Scream movie for me. And I could have done without any of the sequels. If they had never made another Scream movie, but of course it made money, so you know
Yeah.
what that means. Um, but anyway, just my little 2 cents on Scream there.
I would talk to you more in depth with Scream, but you know how I believe you know how I feel. I'm not big on Scream. Now Chris, now he loves it. But me, I don't know. I just it's one of those films that I just never um I don't know. Just never resonated with me. I don't understand why. I mean, you know, I went to the movies and watched it, and
Mhm.
but I just never. It never did. I wasn't scared watching it. It didn't really do anything for me, but I can see the appeal, and I understand why it's huge. Like Walking Dead, I'm not a Walking Dead fan, but I can understand its appeal. I can understand why there's so many people that love it.
Mhm.
Now I've met the cast, most of the cast from Scream, and they're all really awesome, especially Matthew Lillard. I mean, he's great all the way around, you know.
Right. And he played Shaggy in the Scooby Doo film too.
Yeah, definitely. I love anything that he's in a movie that my son loves because they're big like Five Nights at Freddy's fans. So
Mm.
that Five Nights at Freddy's movie, he's in that, and there's like that's Shaggy. They knew who he was because they like those Scooby Doo movies.
Mm.
But he's a great guy. All of them really are really nice people and stuff like that. But if Chris was here, he would definitely get into the Scream stuff.
Well, I would really like to, at some point in time, cover the Scream franchise, and I'd love to have Chris on here if
Yeah.
he could be.
But you know me, I never say never. You know, a little bit down the road, I could always eat my words. I've done that plenty of times. I used to hate
I've
the
had to
band
eat
Rush.
my words too with
I
stuff.
eat my words a lot. I used to hate the band Rush. And
Mhm.
I mean, I absolutely hated Rush. And then all of a sudden, because I would hear their songs all the time on the I knew their you know, their catalog and stuff. I knew their music. Um, just all of a sudden I heard Working Man, and I've heard that song 1,000 times. And it's like a switch had turned off in my like off or on, whatever you wanna say, and I become a huge fan of them. I'm like, "What's happened?" I used no, Chris is like, "You like Rush," because he just knows that I didn't like them. So, after that, you know, and a couple more things, I never like to say never because I've learned as you get older, your tastes change
Yeah.
drastically, and I know that mine drastically changes a lot. Have you found that as you get older that your
With
taste change?
well, you were talking about the band Rush. With me, growing up, I was like, ew, I don't want to listen to country music. That's what my parents listened to.
Yeah.
I don't want to listen to that. I mean, my dad listened to rock music too.
Yeah.
I mean, he listened to Three Dog Night, CCR, all those, the
What my
gas.
dad listened to.
Yeah, all those bands like that. And yeah, me and Candace had a whole conversation back and forth one night about uh, our dads liked almost exactly the
Yeah.
same band. And my mom liked a little bit of rock music, but they gravitated more the older they got to the country music,
Mhm.
and not the pop and country crossover stuff so much, but the
Yeah.
true, country music and the classic country music and all that.
Yeah.
So I have noticed over time that I find myself going back to the old fashioned country music,
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers, Loretta Lynn, even Patsy Cline, just
Same here, Dana, yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. People are probably thinking,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I'm the same way. My mom never really listened to country. She's a '80s girl through and through, you know, '80s and '70s. That's her type of music, and she likes some music that I like. She loves Nirvana,
mhm,
people like that, you know. But my dad, he was like how what's your like, classic rock, I guess you would say,
mhm."
just like your dad. But he also listened to a lot of the country, you know. Vern Godston and Alabama. Now, my mom was a big Alabama fan, and I've
Um,
always liked Alabama, but
Mom and Dad liked Alabama, the Oak Ridge
mm,
Boys.
yeah, but I gravitate towards the older stuff, you know, the Loretta Lynn's and the, you know, stuff like that. Johnny Horton, which is kind of a rockabilly type
Yeah.
style, and I like that old country. I'm not a big country fan, but I like Waylon Jennings. Uh,
Mhm.
George Jones is probably one of my favorites.
Mhm.
George Jones fan because my grandma was a huge George Jones fan. The Possum.
Yeah, Dad would always talk about the possum, he did
Yeah,
all
yeah.
about that. Now, somebody else that I didn't ever really care for until I think it was her album, TNT. Was it Tanya Tucker that did that one?
I'm not for sure, and I know my grandpa liked Tanya Tucker, but I didn't really know a whole lot of people who listened to her, so I don't know as much about
I
her.
don't know. See, I gotta look that up because until I heard that album was the one that had the Buddy Holly song,
Mm,
uh, "Not Fade Away," um, and I heard that for the first time. Yeah, she did do that, and I think the album was TNT.
well,
And I heard her sing that at the beginning or near the beginning of Christine when
mm,
Dennis pulls up in front of Arnie's house to pick him
yeah,
up, and his mother's talking about that's noise pollution, and you hear Tanya Tucker singing that
really.
Buddy Holly song, and she did a really, really good job with that. And I'm like, I really like this.
She was really young, uh,
Mhm.
coming out as a young, country music singer. What was that song that she was real famous for? Oh my gosh. That's how my mind, it just stuff slips. But
Yeah,
if it's like the one that she's the most famous, probably one of her most famous songs. She was like really young, like what, about 15 or so. Delta Dawn. She was like what,
Delta Dawn,
14,
yeah.
15 or something like that, singing that song. And
She was pretty young, and on that, I remember her with the leather pants and
yeah,
stuff like that on the TNT album. I think she had kind of a tight shirt and leather
yeah,
pants, and I was
yeah,
like, "Well, Tanya Tucker means business right here." So,
yeah. But Loretta Lynn was always the big female country music singer for me, and just country, just not just country music, but just female singer, in general.
I love
Always loved her.
I love Loretta Lynn's music because her music always told a story, and it told a
Yes.
story
Yeah.
about her life, and she,
Mhm.
would she wasn't afraid to, like, I don't know how many times I've seen Coal Miner's
Oh,
Daughter,
it's one of my favorites. I love it.
and
Mhm.
I can't get enough of that movie, and what this just shows you how much of an innocent Loretta Lynn was. She got married really young. She married
Mhm.
Doolittle Lynn, or Mooney, they
Mhm.
called him too, and, he was a lot older than she was, and if you watch Loretta Lynn, he's like, he's going to get down to business, and she's just little more than a child, and and she says it. She says, "I ain't gonna have you crawling around on me like I'm a big old hog," and slaps her because of it. But she stayed with him. She
Yeah.
stayed married to him through all the fights that they had and him
Mhm.
cheating on her and. But I remember the one scene in Coal Miner's Daughter where he's drunk and he's with that woman in the back seat of the car, and
Yeah.
he said, "Hey, baby, I won you all these things," and she says something to that woman, and she says, "Who you telling what?" And she said, "I don't know who you are, but I know what you are." And she ends up singing a song about, you know,
Yeah.
you ain't woman enough to take my man,
Oh, yeah.
and
Taking out the trash, Dana, is what she which, she's from over there where Chris is from,
yeah.
just a county or so over from where we live, so her
Mhm.
music really, resonates because it's from our area. We have
Yeah.
grandparents. My grandma, one of my both my grandparents really. It's kind of like how they were raised, and
Mhm.
it's from around the same time that they were, growing up as well. And stuff is just done differently in this area, um, and so it's always nice to have something that you can hear that you kind of relate to.
Mhm.
Not us in general, not our generation, but our ancestors, our people that, our loved ones that we've, you know, had that was older than us, because they could really relate. And I know my grandma loved her because she could relate to her story, to her songs that she would sing. Um, and she's just a really fierce woman. A lot of people don't give her enough credit with the movement of just for women, you
Yeah,
know.
Blissful brings it up. She says several of her songs were very feminist.
Yeah. Yeah, she was very outspoken, like, with the peel, and, a lot of people overlook her when it comes to that, but she was very her stuff was very progressive. It was
Mm,
not something that other country music singers were singing about, not even really a lot of rock singers or anything like that. So, she was just I don't think it's because she wanted to start a movement or anything. It's just because she wanted to let people know how she felt just because of life, you know.
yeah.
So, but that's a great movie. If you've not never seen Coal Miner's Daughter, Cece Spacek does
Sissy Spacek is
amazing,
fantastic in that.
amazing. You would think that she is Loretta Lynn. She sings in it and does her own uh songs and stuff, and she's just fantastic. Just really, really great. That to me is one of the greatest movies about a musician.
Mhm.
Because I mean, she does such a great job in that.
Yeah.
And her dad is played by what is his name, Dana? He's a musician as well.
Is is it Levon Helm?
Yes, Levon Helms.
Yeah.
Yeah, Levon Helms. Um, and when I told my brother about that, he's like, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah, that's it." What's his band called?
Is it
Wait, what's
is it just called The Band in
the
that
band?
one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the band.
Yeah, I love that group. I
Yeah,
absolutely love them.
he's the drummer for that and the singer as well. And I told my brother that, and he's like, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Go look it up." I said, "I'm not telling you, I'm not pulling wool over your eyes or nothing." And he's like, "I couldn't believe that." I said, "Yeah." But it's just like on Great Balls of Fire. Winona Ryder's dad is played by that one guy that's in a band as well. See, I shouldn't bring stuff up because I can't think of nothing. I'm very like airheaded right now.
Joe Bob Briggs is in Great
He
Balls of
is
Fire as
very,
well.
very short, like he's like an announcer, and
Yeah.
I had no idea about that, and Chris told me about it, and I was like, "Huh?" He said, go back and watch that scene where he's, like, driving and you see him, like, past business where you see, like, a DJ in there, and he's talking on the radio and stuff, and it was Joe Bob. I was like, "That's crazy. That's crazy." But anyway, we've gotten way off of
But
trading.
but that's what one of the great things about, having somebody else on here with me is that it's okay to get off on other topics because I think that shows that we're well-rounded people. We don't just sit around and watch movies all day. We listen to music, we read books, we do all kinds of different things. Um,
I'll have
but
to
um, to get back to trading places, um, I could echo everything that Candace said about trading places. I mean, if you've never seen this movie and you're feeling okay, this is one of those movies that if you're feeling down in the dumps or we all feel sorry for ourselves sometimes. I know I do a lot. Um, Pop Trading Places in, and you'll be feeling better in no
Oh,
time.
yeah.
But you'll be laughing along with it and going along for the ride. And I I think that that's something that John Landis does very well
Yeah.
is to be able to create. Um, it feels like a safety net
Yeah.
for me. So if I've had a really bad day or somebody's just really ticked me off or got, some a little bit of bad news about something, then Trading Places or one of the other John Landis movies, put the Blues Brothers in
Yeah.
or Animal House or whatever, and you know, you'll be feeling better in no time once you get in there and just allow yourself to just be and just watch the film.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a
Steve
great film.
says, "Good, thank you. Great to hear stories about the great late John Landis." Yeah, at least he's not the late great John Landis right now. We haven't lost him yet. Um, Hopefully, we won't lose him for quite a while longer. It seems like we've lost a lot of great filmmakers in
Yeah.
the last few years.
I
Um,
seen somewhere where who's the director that did Stephen not Stephen Lynch. David Lynch
mhm.
said that he has emphysema and he can't um do any kind of directing or anything like that now
Oh
outside
wow!
of his home. So I don't know if that meant, because I didn't really click on the article or anything like that. I don't know if that meant like he was going to try to do some directing like from his home, like from like virtual, because I know whenever let's see, who was that? I seen somebody do some virtual like acting over, like they sent like a crew. Was
Mhm.
it sorry, Dana, I'm
I
having
know
a
what
brain
you're
fog.
talking about. I just can't
Brain,
remember
we
who.
just, you know, just passed away. I'm
Uh,
having brain fog. I can't, we just did a show on her on Friday
oh,
Fool.
Shelley
Shelley
Duvall.
Duvall, yeah, that just guys, listen, you're gonna have to overlook me.
You have
I
to
get
overlook
brain
me
fog.
too.
I cannot think of anything. It's been a really stressful day today, so um, everything in my mind is just like going, So I can't think of anything. So forgive me if I seem airheaded. It's just because I am airheaded, but I also can't think of anything.
We're just
But
distracted, easily distracted. I know I am.
oh my gosh, it's just whatever. But I seen that she had done some virtual acting for that one of those movies that she did before she passed
Oh
away.
yeah, was it that what was it? Mama? Was that the movie?
I don't
Or
know. It was
or
one of
what
the
was
last
it?
ones she did. Because she was talking about in an interview that I watched of her, she was talking about how the director or whatever was like on
Oh, The Forest Hills.
the
That's
Forest
what it was.
Hills,
She
yeah.
played Mama on that.
Yeah. It was probably that one, and she was just talking about how he was really, like, nice and stuff, like, talking with her over the and was a really good director, but he was doing it, like, virtually, it seemed like the way that she was talking about it. So I was
Was
like,
it that guy, the Grim Life Collective guy? Was
"No,
he
this
the
was
one?
a interview with I can't remember who was doing the interview, it looked like something like that was set up from some kinda maybe a magazine or something like that." Um, I can't really remember, but I was like, "Well, I guess that would work."
Yeah.
They people work virtually, so
It
why can't
seemed
they
like
direct?
it seemed like people did that during COVID a little bit too, at the
Yeah,
height of COVID.
I think COVID really brought in a lot of different ways to do things.
Mhm.
Hey, life is stopping here virtually. But, you know, I guess it just sent the wheels turning for people to see how stuff would work out doing it online and stuff like it turned out, it offered jobs that people can work from home now. And
Yeah.
I mean, people work from home to begin with, but not in the rate that they are now.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful for that, because that offers people a lot more um, freedom to be at home. Some people need to be at home.
I'm
So,
one of those people that needs to be at home.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy, but I had to look that up because I couldn't remember the name of that guy. But if you've ever watched Great Balls of Fire with Winona Ryder and um, Dennis Quaid
Yeah.
about Jerry Lee Lewis, Winona Ryder's dad, his name is John Doe, and he played in a punk band called X. And I didn't know
Oh,
that until we inherited. I can't even speak today. Some CDs and from James. I think those
uh-huh.
are the ones that we had, and it was from a band called X, and I had never heard of them before. And I was looking at the pictures on the front. I said, "That looks like that guy that plays in Great Balls of Fire." And I started looking them up and stuff like that, and it was. I was like, "That's
Mhm.
that's her name." So you learn something new every time that you turn around.
Yep.
I had no idea that he was in some kind of punk band. That's so crazy.
Sometimes I'll be just sitting watching something, and all of a sudden I'll say, "That looks like somebody I seen in something else." And sometimes Steve will tell me, "No, Dana, that's like," and sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. Uh,
Yeah, I'm wrong most of the time. Chris, and I feel it makes me mad because he's like, that's not that person. That
yeah,
is.
that's the way Steve does me. He's like I'm gonna tell something about myself, so y'all try not to laugh too hard here. Um, I was convinced for a long time that, and if you want to hear me say this, I think it was on the. I need to put all these commentaries me and Steve did on my channel, with just a static picture up there because I can't put the movie up there. But anyway, I think it was prom night because Leslie Nielsen's in prom night. I was convinced for the longest time that Leslie Nielsen was on The Creature from the Black Lagoon. And Steve's like, no, Dana. I think he's on like Forbidden Planet or something like that. But he said he's not in The Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dana. So I'll tell one of my, shameful stories about
Is
how
there
I thought
somebody that looks like him in a Creature from Black Lagoon? Or
who knows, Candace? That's
you
probably
just
just me being crazy.
because I was trying to think, I was like, is there somebody that looks like him in that or something? That's
I was
funny,
just
Dana.
like,
But
I
that
was just convinced for a long time, and I just blurted it out because I thought I was right. And
I've done that. It's like and this one is a little bit more. You know, I know it's not a shocker because I'm sure I'm not the only person that ever thought this, but it's like my whole world was shattered, and this was before my dad passed away, and this was last year, probably 4 or 5 months before my dad passed away, and I told him, and he was like, "Huh?" He didn't believe it either, and I had to get Chris to tell him because my whole world was shattered because I'm the hugest like Back to the Future fan ever. Like we
mhm,
grew up on Back to the Future. My dad, it's like one of his top favorite film series, and we always kept it in the VHS player. We'd always watch them back to back, and in the second Back to the Future, where it shows George McFly, I always thought that was Crispin Glover. I didn't know that was some actor imposter. I always thought that was him.
mhm.
And I remember talking to my mom about it the other day, and we either didn't tell her or she had forgotten because she was like, "There ain't no way that's not somebody else. It sounds just like him." I was like, "Yeah," but Chris told me he was like, "Candace, that's not him. That's some actor that they went and got a cast of his face of
Mhm.
Crispin's face and put it on him." And I'm like, "Chris, you're lying." I mean, I got really upset because I thought Chris was just like pulling my leg, and I was like, "You're lying." He's like, "No, everybody knows that." I was like, "No, they don't. I don't know
Yeah,
that.
it's
No,
like,
they
I don't know it.
did you know it?"
I I don't I guess I didn't really pay that much attention, but I saw a meme about that recently.
Really?
Yes, about that
But
exact thing.
I felt so stupid. I was like, "Well, if everybody else knows this, then why don't I?" But that shattered my whole like view of that movie because I always thought that was him because I really like Crispin Glover, and I was just really, I guess, just being a brat because because I was wrong. I was thinking it was him this whole time because I love that scene. He comes in upside down on this like
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
So I guess that one's understandable because it does look like him and it does sound like him. So but still, I didn't like being wrong. I didn't like being in
Well,
the
to be honest, I don't think anybody likes to be wrong. Even our husbands don't like to be wrong, do they, Candace?
no, but it seems like I'm more wrong than he is most of the time when it comes to because there's two actors and they look just alike and I can't remember who they are right off the top of my head, but I'll get them mixed up. And he's like, "No, that ain't so," whoever it is,
That ain't that one, it's
you
the
know,
other one.
he's usually right.
Yeah.
So, I never get them right. So, I don't know.
Um,
But what do you rate this film, Dana?
well, I'm gonna rate it, but I did wanna, read what Steve put in here. He said,
Oh, yeah.
"American Werewolf was my first horror flick at the drive-in when I was only 5.
Ooh.
Scared as hell, but intrigued at the same time, became a horror fan ever since." Sometimes that's all you need. You know, one good shocker of a movie, and you're a fan for life.
What a
After
great film to watch at the drive-in as a kid.
oh, that yeah.
That would've been awesome. As an adult, me right now, I'd love to see that at the drive-in.
Yeah. I've gotten to see a few films that I always wanted to see at the drive-in,
Yeah.
but not everyone that I would have liked to have seen at the drive-in, but a handful of them. But that's a really cool story, Steve. I thank you for sharing. Um, but to get to my rating for Trading Places, I'm gonna have to give this one 5 deadites out of 5, just because the fun factor is so high in this
Uh,
one.
yeah.
And I know people kind of like, Dana, come on, you should reserve that for the cream of the crop, the top of the, the top of the heap, whatever way you want to look at it. But I think about movies that make me laugh,
Yeah.
movies that make me feel good, if we're talking about comedy films.
Yeah.
And with horror films, it's, do they make me scared? Um, is there something special about this movie that I don't see in a lot of other horror movies?
Yeah.
So that's, I'll share that little thing with you guys and gals, that's sometimes how I determine whether I'm going to give something a 5 deadites out of 5 or 4 deadites out of 5. Is, did it spark something in me? Was there something about this film that was so unique that pushed it up above a 4? And hopefully that makes sense to people, because I know people just shake their heads. I'm sure my own husband shakes his head sometimes when I give these ratings. But
Well, we all have our different reasons to give, something a higher score than another,
mhm.
so I guess it's just an individual thing.
So I'm curious to see what Candace gives Trading Places.
Well, it was a film that I did grow up on, even though it's been quite a few years that I've seen it. Um, I always loved it, and it, like I said, it was one of my dad's favorites. He just absolutely loved it. And the way that I view it is the film in itself is a classic.
Hmm.
It's hilarious. It's got a good message. Is it one that I could watch over and over again? Yes, it is. It's not one of my favorite movies, not like top favorite movies, but I would stick it in there as films that inspired me, films that, that I grew up with. And films that I grew up with are always going to be a little bit top tier.
Right,
Even if they're not like my top favorite, because I got a lot of favorite movies. When you putting down a list of top 10, even top 20 movies, there's going to be a lot more in front of this film. But it's one of those that I grew up with, just like all the other, like the Richard Pryor and the Gene Wilder films. Those are, really some of my favorites as well, because I just grew up with them. Um, do I like some over them? Why, maybe, but um, would I give them all great ratings? Yes. So this one I would give a 5.
all right.
I know that's just a long way around of saying I
No,
just think it's
that
a good
I'm glad.
movie, but I think it deserves no less. If I gave it a 4, even a 4.5, I think that would be, taking something away from it.
Right.
I think it's a great movie, and I think it's a classic, so I think it deserves a 5.
And I agree. And I'm glad that Candace expanded on that as well, because sometimes people wonder why we give the ratings we do. So if we expand a little bit on it, it gives, hopefully it gives people more insight. Um, Now, move on to the final movie that we're going to talk about tonight. Twilight Zone the movie. Now, I'm not going to get into all the controversy surrounding
Yeah.
the film. I think everybody has heard the stories, probably seen the footage. I honestly don't care to see that helicopter crash anymore because it's
Yeah.
so disturbing.
Unfortunately, I've seen it as well, and I wish I didn't.
Yeah. Um, but, unfortunately, John Landis and several of his co-workers on the film, I'm not going to call them co-conspirators. Some people would call them co-conspirators or accessories to murder or whatever. I'm not going to go that far. But it got them in a heap of trouble. And
Yeah.
there was a big court case. And I'm only going to say this. Say what you will about John Landis and his tactics to make films. I still think he's a great filmmaker. People might want to throw tomatoes at me, but I think the man has heart, and I think he lives with the decisions he made on
Yeah.
Twilight Zone the movie. He lives with those to this day.
I mean,
And
who wouldn't?
yeah, and I think I just honestly think it's not fair to keep punishing the man for something that if they had followed every rule to the letter, could it have still happened? Heck yeah, it could have still happened. So I think we just need to look at his body of work as a filmmaker, including this film that we're
Yeah.
just about to talk about. And John Landis was responsible for one segment. And he was also, I believe, responsible for the wraparound story, which was, I found that phenomenal. And you want to talk about a scary scene. I mean, this scared me as a kid watching this. And the scene, of course, I'm talking about is Dan Aykroyd, and I'm forgetting the
Albert
other
Brooks.
Albert Brooks. Yeah, so Albert Brooks picks up Dan Aykroyd's character, or they're leaving from work or something like that,
On the
and
road.
they're singing Midnight Special, and just having a good old time, and
Oh
then
my God.
they get to talking about Twilight Zone episodes and stuff like that, and right before this scene ends, Dan Aykroyd's character says, "You want to see something really scary?" And Albert Brooks's character is like, "Yeah, heck yeah, I want to see something scary." So Dan Aykroyd does this number, and then turns where you cannot see his face. When he turns back around, he's this ghoulish monster, and he attacks Albert Brooks's character,
Yeah.
and then you hear the Twilight Zone
Mm-hmm.
theme music, the do 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 music, and then I hope they don't get me in trouble for doing that. But but then or I knew at that point, I am in for a ride here.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
in for a fun ride here. And I think that was a great way to introduce this anthology film.
Yeah.
And all of the stories are not frightening.
No.
In fact, the kick the can
Mm-hmm. That's
episode,
right.
oh my goodness, that was so, you could pluck that story out of this and set some people in front of them. They would not know that it came from technically a horror anthology film
Yeah.
if they didn't know any better. Because it's about some elderly people in a nursing home who are given a chance to go back in time to when they were kids. And we find out that one of the elderly individuals doesn't want to come back from being
Yeah.
a kid. They want to stay a kid. But it's a really tugs at your heartstrings kind of story. And the Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone episodes, and even the Twilight Zone episodes from the 80s were like that too.
Yeah.
Some of them were not scary, some of them were, some of them were funny, and some of them tugged at your heartstrings a little
Yes.
bit.
Yeah.
So there were a wide variety of stories. And let's see, I'm trying to think how many stories were. There was John Landis's story. There was the one about the elderly people at the nursing home
I
turn
think
back
there's 4.
where they're for. The one about the kid that lures his teacher to his house, and he's do you remember this one, Candace, where he's I guess these people aren't his family. He's like kidnapped them or something.
Hmm.
And he brings people to the house, and the one of the girls he calls his sister, he's sewn her mouth shut. You see
Oh, yeah.
where she can't talk. She's just sitting there in front of cartoons, and he has his teacher come to his house, and what he's trying to do is trap her there too. This is a evil kid in many respects, and uh he has one of the people like pull this giant monster rabbit out of a hat and
Yeah, I
all
remember
kinds
that, yeah.
of, yeah,
It's really odd. It's odd.
it's a bizarre
Yeah.
story. Um, Blissful says she's been revisiting the original Twilight Zone. Blissful says, "LOL, less than 10 seconds. You're good." Um, Blissful says, "American Werewolf in London was my first sneak in the theater. Freaked me out. LOL." Oh, and then she says, "LOL, less than 10 seconds. You're good." But anyway, I loved all of the stories because they were unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Landis story is tarnished. I mean, because of the tragedy that
Yeah,
happened, but it's still a good story, though.
he is, and it was a touchy story to begin with.
Mm,
It dealt with things that, is kind of a touchy subject anyway, but it had a good, I guess, a good, direction it was going in, but,
yeah,
unfortunately, what happened, and, um, I remember Dana, the reason why that I would really watch the film, because 'cause I've seen it all the way through a few times,
mhm.
but when I would get it and put it on, it would be for that Dan Aykroyd scene, the beginning, because
That's a big scene, yeah.
okay, so, I was scared of Pennywise as a kid, on it, um, but another thing that absolutely scared me to death, I remember the first time, watching Twilight Zone the movie, and it was with my family, and we had rented it, and I'd never seen it before, and Twilight Zone is a big thing in my house growing up, okay? Not the '80s, I never watched any of that, it was the
Mhm,
classic episodes.
right.
It's one of my dad's top favorite TV show, so we'd watch them every time they'd come on, and then whenever they come out on DVD, bought all the seasons and stuff like that, but as a kid, we would watch them when they'd come on TV, and, I think he even had, like, tapes, VHSs of them. I can't remember if they were pre-recorded off the TV or if they were, like, some that you would buy. I think they might have been pre-recorded off the TV. We all used to do that, back then, back in the
Yeah,
'90s, but, so I was really excited to watch it. I was really excited to watch this movie I'd never seen. It's Twilight Zone movie. And, I remember we stuck it in, and I was really little. I can't remember how old I was, but I was young. And, it comes on, and we all got the lights down low, and got all you can see really is the TV. And we're sitting there, and you see this car driving down the road, and it's like it looks like a desert, I guess, is what you would kind of
Yeah.
where they're at. And it's nighttime, and it shows a familiar face. Oh, hey, I love Dan Aykroyd.
Right.
I like him. I like Albert Brooks. I knew who he was. I didn't know him by name, but I knew him by face. But hey, I love Dan Aykroyd, so this has got to be great. Ghostbusters. It's not going to be nothing bad. This is Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone isn't that scary. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just imagine my horror. It's all good. They're going down the road. You hear some CCR come on there. That makes me excited because, CCR is a big thing in my house. We all love CCR. And smooth sailing, right? Well, he says, you want to see something really scary? And, how scary is Dan Aykroyd going to be, And he said, well, you got to pull over. Go pull over.
Yeah.
Well, he pulled over all right. And whenever he came back, and I seen that, Dana, if and I've said this with a lot of things that shock me, especially as a kid, if my hair could have turned white, I'm surprised it didn't. Because, here's this grotesque looking creature, and all
Mhm.
I can remember, he had like a white face with white hair, and I maybe red eyes, I can't remember.
May
And
have been red eyes.
it scared the living, eh, I'm not going to say out of the living daylights, let's say, put it nicely, scared the living daylights out of me.
Mhm.
And I I wouldn't watch it.
That you were done.
I was done, and I was freaked out. My dad was begging me, "Come on, Candace, it's all right. It's nothing. That's just part of it. It's not bad." He might have already seen it, and I had just never seen it before. But I never forgot it. And then I got a little bit older, and I wanted to go back and revisit it, and I did because, you know, unfortunately, and I know you don't want to talk about this, and I'm not going to talk about it in length, but just as for my experience from the movie, I'm going to just bring it up just a little bit. I'd heard my grandparents mostly and my mom, my mom, papa, her mom and dad, talk about the stuff that happened with the movie.
Yeah.
So, curiosity got the best of me because I had never seen it all the way through. And I was probably 12, 13, something like that at this point. So we had it on VHS, and I started watching it all, I'm going to sit down and watch this, even though this part scares me. Well, it scared me all right. And I closed my eyes. I got past that part, and I watched the movie all the way through. And I was like, well, besides that part at the beginning, this is a good movie. But at this point, after hearing what had happened, it just made you feel sad, kind of watching it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just a natural feeling that you would get, any kind of movie that, like Poltergeist, whenever I found out that, the stuff that's behind that movie, it just kind of made it feel even, there's like something hanging over it that's sad,
Mhm.
um, just like with any film, with anybody, even, like with Heath Ledger, like the Batman that he's in, when we went to the movies and watched that, it was our first time seeing it, but he had just passed away. And, there's something that hangs over anything that is, I guess you would call it tragedy. Any kind of tragedies that involve these movies and stuff like that, if the actors passed away or something like that, there's something really bittersweet about it, in a way that's, you're like, because this in the back of your mind, hey, something's happened, Um, but it didn't take away from the movie, and because I still found it to be a great movie. I
Mhm.
thought that it was, because I like anthology type films
I
that,
do too.
know, and it was each story, even though I think it's the last story, is a revisit from a William Shatner episode.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked it. I enjoyed seeing John Lithgow. I enjoyed because I like John Lithgow.
I love John Lithgow.
Yeah, so I enjoyed seeing him in that role, that classic role that I grew up watching with William Shatner, and
Mhm.
I thought that he brought a new twist to it, and I love the kick the can episode.
Yeah.
because I thought that one was really lighthearted.
Yeah.
It was something. Now the one that you were talking about the boy and the rabbit and stuff, I always remember that one being really weird. I don't know
It
why.
was bizarre, and it always made me feel uneasy
It
watching
did.
it.
Yeah. So, it is an anthology, so I never really paid attention to that one because I just didn't really like that one as much. Um,
Mhm.
maybe, that might be somebody's favorite, segment.
That was probably my least favorite of
Yeah,
the
but
stories
for
too.
me, it was my least favorite, and just personal preference. I'm not taking away from it. Some people, like I said, some people that might be their favorite segment of the whole film, but I really enjoyed the kick the can. I thought that was really um, a great episode because it just, I love old people, and just as I get older, I can kind of see, hey, if I'm reminiscing about my childhood now, how am I going to feel whenever I'm a lot older? If
Yeah,
I'm blessed to live that long enough. Um, so what a great like thought to be able to go back and just revisit your childhood just for a little bit. When you've talked about that kind of thing, that would be great to do that. So when I see stuff like that, it really um it kind of, it hits me in the feels, and
yeah,
it kind of was the break in this movie that it needed. It needed that lighthearted like segment.
yeah. It needed that little whimsical, little bit
Yeah.
that you had in there because, and I think again the filmmakers as a whole, because there were several filmmakers involved in this, they were wise to include a story like that.
Yeah.
Very
I
wise.
think so too, but props to John Landis for that opening
Oh,
scene, 'cause
and I was gonna show everybody on the screen in case you didn't know what Dan Aykroyd looks like as the monster. If Candace can take it, I'll
I
show it
can
up
take it. Over years, I've got desensitized to it.
there. All right. So if Candace screams and runs away, um, okay. So there you go.
Ugh,
There is the monster that Dan Aykroyd becomes.
he's white or blue or whatever you wanna say he is.
Yeah, or a grayish, but the hair is definitely white there.
See, that's how, that is how, like, trauma, like, stuff like this, like, movie trauma is something will scare you to death, and you will
I'll make
make
it a little bigger for you guys and gals there.
because I thought he had red eyes, but that's just probably me.
Well, I thought he did too, but
That's
I
my
guess,
mind making it bigger and uglier than what it really is, but, oh,
but
he's
it
he's
doesn't look like Dan Aykroyd at all.
he looks like, I don't know, Count Orlok or something. He
You know
looks like
what it sort of reminds me of? A little bit scarier version of some of the creatures that they may have seen on Scooby Doo that like Scooby and Shaggy would have seen.
yeah.
And then they would have been, "Oop,"
I
and
can
be
see
running away from it.
oh my gosh.
It looks like one of those things would be going, "Ah," and they'd be running away.
But he's
Uh,
got, like, the sharp teeth in the front. I always think of Nosferatu whenever I
mhm.
see that. Oh my gosh.
Blissful says he's not scary, he just needs to moisturize.
He definitely needs the moisturizer. He needs a few face masks or something to
He
to
needs
put on there.
something. All right. Well, I won't
Gosh.
have y'all keep staring at that, so I'll quit sharing the screen now.
Oh my goodness
Uh,
me.
in case you didn't remember that or maybe hadn't seen that, I just showed everybody the creature
Oh
that Dan
my god.
Aykroyd becomes in
Yeah,
Twilight
but that just shows the genius of Dan Aykroyd being able to do that. But like I said, props for John Landis because he really scared the living daylights out of me, and you said you and
Zone.
probably a whole lot of other kids and maybe adults.
I mean, there's a thing with me about, and my brother was like this to some extent too, growing up. There's something about ugly faces or monsters or unexpected things like that because I didn't expect, I didn't know
No,
what was going to happen the first time I
no.
saw that. And then I was like, whoa, that's a
It was
little.
a shock, definitely, for
Mm.
sure. It was a shock.
And I think John Landis, because he was responsible for that wraparound.
Sorry, Dana,
Um,
my thing
oh, that's okay.
it blew out. I knew I didn't smell it anywhere. I like having incense and stuff.
But I think John Landis really knew what he was doing when he would put scenes like that in there, in any movie
Yeah.
that he does. For instance, he did that in American Werewolf in London with the hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but the Nazi werewolves, that's what I
Mhm.
call them. That scene was very, upon watching that again during the watch along last night, that is so shocking. Oh, Blissa wants to know what the scent is, Candace. She says she's burning fizzy pop.
Let me see. I think might be dragon's blood.
Oh, I love dragon's blood. Those are good.
I have a fizzy pop in here though. It's the wild berry
Ooh.
brands. Maybe I've used all my fizzy pop ones. I need to get some more. They're my favorite brand of incense. I think that's the dragon blood one. Pretty sure that's what it smells like. It's really untelling. I've got them all mixed up. I need to get me some more packets. I got like 1,000 incense, but this is my favorite brand.
I would probably buy more incense, but Steve's like, God, do we have to get more
Oh,
incense? Do we have to get more wax melts and all this stuff? He hates me getting in the scented areas of the store because I don't ever want to leave. I'm just like, I'm gonna open this one up and see what it smells like. I open those containers that have the
yeah.
wax melts in them because I gotta know what they smell
That's
like.
what we do. See, Chris is exactly opposite of Steve because he's the one that's buying because we buy 1,000 candles a month because we got 2 dogs and
I get candles too. Yeah.
we like having candles and stuff. You can bath your dogs and stuff. I bet you got dogs. What you mean? I don't know if everybody does that, but I like my house smelling good. I like
Me
it
too.
being when you walk through that door, a wall of different scents. And Chris is the same, so we're always burning incense, always burning candles, and I got incense burners and all that good stuff. And
Mm.
I told Chris, I said, I hope that this doesn't do something to our lungs because our house is always just like a big scent wall.
Lord, I hope not, because we do the same thing. And Steve likes to burn candles
Yeah,
because he claims that his nose is kind of messed up and he can't smell things sometimes.
yeah,
But I said, you can smell this stuff, can't you? And he's like, well, yeah. And my mom loves to make the house smell good.
yeah.
What woman doesn't want to make her house smell good? But Dad says, "Oh, that's killing me. It's
That was
killing
my
me."
dad. My dad was the same way. He hated smells. But you know what? He would lather down with like aftershave or cologne or something like that, like
Mhm.
Stetson or
Yeah,
uh
my dad
Old
used to use
Spice
his
or
fair
Bruce.
share of that stuff.
Yeah, but if it was hairspray, then he started using hairspray, as he got older for his hair. My dad had hair like Elvis, had a big head full of hair like Elvis.
Mhm.
And he always did that with the sideburns and all that good stuff. But if anybody else was spraying it, it'd give him a headache or, can't don't understand it. I never
Yeah, Dad will tell Mom he'll say, "Lori, can we blow that candle out or turn that wax burner off?" Because he says, "It's making me choke to death." He said, "I can't stand it."
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm a big scent person. I'm glad that Chris is too. I think he just because he loves like but the thing with me and him is we kind of conflict one another because he likes like pound cake smells and vanilla type smells. I'm not into that. That's not my kind of.
He would love my strawberry pound cake
Now
candle
that
that I
smells
got.
that seems like that would smell good
Oh,
because it's got the strawberry in it.
it's
But
heavenly, Candace.
I got one in there. It's called caramel brown sugar pretzel.
Ooh,
And I got it from Walmart. It smells really good. The one I'm burning right here is called Starlight Skies, and it's blood orange, jasmine, and sandalwood. So
that
it
sounds
smells
good
really
too.
good. But people's probably thinking candles. We
Well,
love candles, guys.
candles, incense, wax melts, you name it. I love it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Steve doesn't mind the smells, but he always tells me because I've got a whole, one of those collapsible totes that people put stuff in. They put them in those cube organizers.
Yeah.
I've got one of those full of wax melts, and Steve's like, "You got enough, Dana, enough already. Don't buy any more."
Oh. Well, I'm just, it also that's why I have a incense with me today is because when I'm really stressed out, the
Mhm.
incense and the candles and stuff, they calm me. They're like a calming type thing. And and Noah loves candles and wax burners and all that good stuff too. So we're just a family that likes that kind of thing.
Blissful says she likes the earthy scents, and she says she's been
Yeah.
burning whiskey and tobacco candles. Those
Ooh.
whiskey and tobacco actually smell pretty good. Some people be
Now,
like, "Yeah,
yeah, no, I like the bourbon.
mm,
The bourbon smells. I think those are really good too. And there was one that I got on sale from Walmart. It was called Grill, 4th of July Grill, and it actually smells like grill smoke. So strangest
wow,
thing ever. And I was like, I don't know. I said, well, for like 25 cents, I'm gonna get this because it was like a 4th of July thing. And we brought it home and I lit it. It actually smells like a grill burning. And it's not
that's wild."
something that I hate. It's you would think
Mhm.
it would be something you wouldn't like, but it's like it smells like hamburgers on a grill.
That
It's the
made me
weirdest
hungry.
thing.
I used to have some wax melts that smelled like cupcakes.
Mhm.
And you would walk in the house when I had them going, and you'd
Yep.
swear I'd baked some cupcakes somewhere.
That's mostly what I get. I really love, like, the floral type stuff, like the
Mhm.
roses, the hyacinthus, and the lilac and stuff like that, but I like lemon, but I also love probably my favorite type of stuff is the caramel breads and
Mhm.
pumpkin spice stuff, I like not really pumpkin spice, but, like, it has to have, like, caramel or something in it. I love caramel.
What about,
Pie.
honeysuckle?
Oh, my mom,
I
that's
lo
that's one of
I
her favorites.
love the honeysuckle.
I found some, honeysuckle, I think it was Febreze or Glade one, and I had to get it for my mom. I said, "I had to get this for you," and she was like, "Oh, it's honeysuckle," because that's her when the honeysuckles start coming out, um, and you can start smelling them. That's
Mm.
her favorite scent. She loves it. She's just like, "Oh, I can smell the honeysuckle," so
Honeysuckle and roses.
oh, I
I
love
love
roses,
I
yeah.
love roses.
Yep, I love them too.
It's making me wanna go out and buy more stuff. Steve will be like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have to take her to get some more."
Oh,
But,
but anyway.
yeah. But when me and Candace get on here, we talk about the movies, but we talk about everything in between
Oh,
too.
yeah.
That makes it more fun, I think. But I guess I'll go ahead and give my rating for Twilight Zone the movie, and this may surprise some people. I'm going to give this one 5 deadites out of 5 too, because it is a such a well-rounded, if you can separate the tragedy that happened from the actual movie itself,
Yeah.
if it's possible for you to do that, this is a very well-rounded, well-made anthology film.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's just no doubt about that. Um, and I realize that some people cannot separate the tragedy from the movie, and that's okay. But if you ever do find yourself in a place where you think you might be able to, I encourage you to, like, if you've seen it but haven't been able to watch it for years and you think, well, maybe I'll try it again, give it a try and kind of get yourself immersed in each one of the stories. And I think that was Steve just coming in the back door. He's early tonight, I think. I hope that was Steve coming in the
You
front
better
door.
go check now.
I'm pretty sure it was him because we keep the door locked. Somebody would have to bust it open. Is that you, dear? No. Yeah. Well, he's just playing
It's him.
around. Yeah, I know my husband's voice. So, Candace, is there anything else you wanted to say about the movie before you give your rating on it?
I just what I will say about it is if you have heard the stories about it and you or never watched it and you just don't think that you would enjoy it because you can't separate, the two, try to go into it with an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
Try to. I know sometimes that's really hard to do. Um, but try to go in it with an open mind just to see how you think of it because sometimes like tragedies really mar stuff sometimes, especially something that so as big as this one, the tragedy that surrounds this film. um but just try your best to go in it with an open mind and you may enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Even for people who do love it, there's that there's still that, they don't say, "Oh, well, this movie, there's nothing happened with that movie." People still know that there's something that happened with this film,
Mm-hmm.
even if they do love it. Um, so it's not like people are being insensitive and say, "Well, I just don't like it, because of what happened." But you're free to make up your own mind and how you feel about things.
Right.
With that being said, yes, it does have some kind of tragedy around it, and it is very, very sad and hard to think about. But the movie in itself is a good movie. It's a really fun movie in spots, like with the kick the can. I think John Lithgow did great in his segment. What is it called? The segment,
Oh, geez.
10,000. My gosh. Well, anyway, it's the episode where
Is it
where
Nightmare at
yes,
so
10,000
many?
feet,
Yeah, something like
something
that.
like that. I could look it up just to be 100% sure, but I think it's like something like Nightmare at 20,000 feet or 10,000 feet, something like that. And it's just like a redo of the William Shatner episode. There's something on the plane, or the wing or something like that. He
Yeah.
said.
People
Now,
always like to try to mimic, William Shatner, or in some
say
cases, maybe mock William Shatner.
yeah, I am used to the Jim Carrey portrayal of that, uh,
Yeah.
from Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls.
Mm.
Um, and he goes, "There's something on the wing, something." So, I don't even think that's what William Shatner exactly
I
said.
don't I don't think so, and definitely not with those inflections either.
So, um, that's what always comes to my mind when I think of that episode. But it's a great episode, and I actually use it for a commercial for our Death by Stereo. I use segments of that, but I think John Lithgow did great in that segment.
Mm,
I really like that segment. So I wouldn't call this like a movie that I grew up with. It was a movie that scared me as a kid. No, don't think that it didn't have a big plot and me being scared of of things as a kid because it definitely did with that scene with Dan Aykroyd
mm,
and Albert Brooks. But um, it's not one that I would put up on the level of, hey, this is just one of the greatest films ever made. it's a good film. But that segment with like the kid and stuff, I really didn't care for that segment, so it's not perfect to me,
Mhm.
but I would still give it a 4. Maybe
Okay.
even a 4.5 if you had it. It's still a
Well,
really good.
y'all can visualize that half. I promise that one of these days I'm gonna get that half.
Yeah, it's still a really good film. It's one that I could sit down and watch, more than once. I have watched it more than once. Um, it's a solid film, and it's one that is not just one way. It's got the horror, it's got the life lesson type
Mhm.
ordeal, and it's got like the lighthearted stuff in it. So it's kind of got a little something for everybody in there.
Right. Yeah, I think that's entirely a fair rating,
Yeah. It's a
for it.
good anthology. It really is.
Have you ever, speaking of anthology films, have you ever seen Trilogy of Terror, Candace?
I don't think so.
I need to do a watch along for that one.
I don't even think I've ever heard of that. That might be something that Chris has talked about. I've not
Mhm.
paid attention. Is it a older film or?
Yeah, it's I believe it was in the 70s,
Hmm.
and hold on just a second, I'll be able to tell you they made a sequel to it, but I want to stick with the original. Um Yeah. Oh, you can watch it. You can watch the full movie. It has Karen Black in all the
Oh,
stories,
okay. I like Karen Black.
and you can. I think you can watch it on YouTube for free.
And what's it called? Trilogy of Terror?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll let you check it out, Candace, and then you let me know if you like it, and we'll do a watch along
Oh,
for it.
yeah, Dana, I've seen
Have
this.
you seen it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Chris showed me that along. Yeah, I've seen this. See, that's why it does good to look stuff up sometimes. It's just my mind, I can't think of stuff. Yes, yes. That scene with that doll, like whatever that is.
The Zuni fetish doll. I want that
Yes.
doll. Steve keeps trying to get me one, but they go for
I can
ungodly
make you
amounts
one.
now.
You looking at somebody who can make you that. That's easy
I
to make.
know, but Candace, you're already working on me like a Ash
Well,
doll.
cool. I can make you that and send it to you. I'll make you one. 'Cause Chris may
Oh,
want one too.
I'll be forever in your debt, Candace, if you make me a Zuni
I'll
fetish
make
doll.
you one. Yeah, I will. I may start making those. People might want them or something.
I'll have my own unique Candace Prater original.
Oh, that's easy. That would be easy to make. Yeah.
And
Um,
that would be even better than getting one of the store bought ones to have
and I
that.
ain't bragging on myself, guys. Don't think I'm pulling my. I'm not pulling yanking my own chain. I'm not saying
Well,
that.
I'll toot Candace's horn here. So Candace is amazing at this stuff she creates.
I see stuff that I think is really easy. Oh, that'd be easy to make. That'd be fun to make too. So give me a chance to do something
Yeah,
like
probably
that too.
Chris would want one of those, I
He
would
probably
imagine.
would, yeah. He probably had never thought of that before, but that would be really, really easy to make. Um, could even make him posable because it looks like the actual doll itself has like little wires because make armatures, but they
Mhm.
have stuff now that you can do to make them movable and stuff. And it looks like here that the actual doll itself in the film had that like the little joints.
To
So
make me feel better, me and Candace might have to make a little trade and some t-shirts or candles or something that she's been wanting. We'll make a trade. I'll give her like so many candles and t-shirts for this doll.
now, Dana, you're already good to me anyway, and give me stuff and stuff like that anyway. So you don't have to give me anything for something like that. But it gives me a what do you call it, like a catalog of things I can show people if they want something made or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, that would be fun to make. I'd say. Um, yeah. Dana's been patient anyway. I've been like, I've got her a doll that I'm making her, and she's been waiting patiently for forever now.
Yeah, but absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I'm not upset over having to wait because I know it's going to be that much better. The longer I have to wait, the better this Ash doll is going to be.
You'll
And
get it soon.
my coworker Rebecca, the one I made the Scooby Doo and
Oh,
Pikachu
yeah.
shirt, she sent me a picture of her, and I should have already downloaded it, but I didn't. I'll have to download it off of Teams at work, and maybe I can show you guys. I'll ask her if it's okay if I show people the shirt. She says she loves it. She said, actually, I have it on today.
I was gonna ask you how she liked that.
Mhm,
I remember you telling me that you had sent it to her, but,
mhm.
I don't think I ever asked you if she had got it and if she had liked it, but I figured she would because I
She
love that.
says she loves it, and she
Good, good.
crocheted me an Ash plushie, she
Yeah,
calls it, and she says she's gonna try to get it shipped out to me on Wednesday.
good, good. I mean, yeah, I'm excited to see that too.
I'll have to show that off when I get it in. And when Candace gets me the Ash doll, and when she gets me the Zuni Fish doll, I'll be on here showing those things off too.
I'll try to get them done by Whorehound.
That sounds good. That's not that far away.
'Cause see, I like working on more than one thing at once because if I get tired of one thing, I can go over to something new because sometimes if you just force yourself to work on one thing, um, you get burnt out on it and you can't make it, as good as you could if you just give it a break and give it a rest.
Mm.
So, I have my area now that I can work on. So I have no excuses not working on stuff. My
Uh,
brother
Bl-
yeah, go ahead.
Bliss. Oh, go ahead,
Go
Candace.
ahead, Dana, go ahead. I was
I
just
was
gonna
just
finish about
reading
my
what
brother.
Blissful put here. She said, "Oh, geez, I'd have nightmares." She's talking about that Zuni Fish doll. She says, "Candace is talented. That doll freaks me out." And then she says, Always add to your portfolio. Do as I say, not as I do or did."
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm wanting to build my portfolio of stuff that I've been
Oh,
working
yeah.
on too.
That's why I always say, "Hey," because people are always because when I make people stuff and stuff, that they don't I don't ask for, anything in return, and they're like, "Well, I feel bad, you giving this to me or whatever." I said, "But you are giving me something. You're giving me something I can add to my list of things that I'm doing." And, whenever somebody wants something, a commission or something like that, then, here I have this. So, and that's what happened whenever I was making like the mandrakes from Harry Potter. Like I've made them and I would put my portfolio up and people would see them and they would get in contact with me. But then somebody at one my son's school at the time, um, had commissioned one, and then she had showed off to all the teachers and stuff that love Harry Potter, so here I was making mandrakes for all these teachers. They're like, "This is something that you get out of a store or something." I was like, "I don't say that." Oh.
But yeah, I have my few talents. Candace is
Oh,
very
Dana,
talented.
Dana, 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 do not sit and act like you ain't talented because
Well,
you have a lot of talent.
I use a lot of digital stuff. If I didn't have that, I don't think I could make half the stuff
Well,
that I make.
but you have all kinds of talents. You have a talent of speech and being a leader and telling people stuff. I've asked Dana how to do stuff before, and she's like so professional in explaining things. I'm like, I couldn't sit down and try to form words like you do at all. Um,
Sometimes
you
I
know,
feel like I just stumble over my words. I sound
no,
foolish, I think.
no, you have a very high talent in talking people through things and telling people things and I'm like, I sound like I'm a bumbling idiot, and here Dana is very well spoken and
I I s- like the stuff that I learned, a lot of it is self-taught. And sometimes people say, "Well, how do you even go about doing that?" Like Photoshop. I'm
yeah,
self-taught on
yeah.
Photoshop.
And Photoshop is not easy to do because I used to
No,
do my digital
Photoshop,
drawings on there, and it is not easy to learn.
there's a very steep learning curve with Photoshop. In
Mhm.
fact, I tried to show Steve how to use it a few times, and he's like, I'm
It
going back to Microsoft Paint. That's what he
it's
said.
probably gotten even more advanced in the years that I've used it because I
Yeah,
used it,
there's
like,
new
in
things.
2010, 2011, and
Mhm.
then I kind of didn't use it anymore. So, I'm sure from 2010, 2011, the programming has gotten a lot more difficult.
Well, I mean, the thing that I love about Photoshop is you have the ability to work in layers.
Yes, that was
So
the good
you
thing
can
about it.
work on one layer, not even have to touch another layer.
Mhm, yeah. So if you mess up on one thing, all you have to do is that you erase it or get rid of it, and you can also, I don't know if they still do that or not, but back then you could, like turn it off so you couldn't see it, and then if you had
Yeah,
to
you can
bring it back
hide
on.
layers.
Yeah.
Yep, you definitely
So,
can. Uh,
yeah.
oh, you're welcome, Steve. Steve says, thanks for the heads up on Twilight Zone. Haven't seen it in ages and it's out of print. Yeah, it is out of print. I had forgotten about that. Yeah. Hard to find now in a certain format,
Yeah.
to have an actual physical format to
Mhm.
hold in your hands or whatever. But well, I guess that's all I had to talk about tonight. Candace, did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up or
N
anything?
no, but I do wanna watch that Into the Night.
Mm-hmm.
I've been meaning to because I was wanting to watch all 3 of these, and I've just been
Right.
so out of sorts and stuff, that I've not got a chance to do anything, but, I do wanna go back and watch that one, and if I do and we're doing a live together, even on Friday Foolish, I can give you my,
Oh,
um,
yeah, that would be awesome.
rating of it, I'm sure that people could come back and watch this if they, hadn't watched it and I mention it, but, I wish Chris could have been on here because he loves Trading Places, he loves
Well,
Twilight Zone the movie, and,
I
you
told
know
Chris, I sent him a message before I got on here. Told him it was perfectly okay. He didn't need to apologize. And I told him, I said, if you want to come on sometime, an impromptu thing and talk about these movies,
Yeah,
you are welcome to. I said, just let me know and we'll pencil you in. You can come
yeah.
on there and talk about them and give a
We
rating.
have yeah, because he's had a really rough day. Today's been a rough day. It's been a rough time, a month or so, and I'll just be
Mhm.
open and honest with you because I think, I don't know if Chris has talked about it or not, but I'll be open and honest with you. We've been doing without water for well over a month now. The water company came to our house. We have no leak that we could find anywhere on our property. Um, and they cut off our water and said, "Hey, you got a 600 and some 100-gallon leak somewhere on your property." And we're like, "Okay." Couldn't find one. Um, so we receive a water bill that is almost $6,000, and our water's been cut off for what, over a month now, Dana, I guess.
Yeah,
And
at least
got another water bill in the mail the other day that's almost $12,000. So
how does that happen when somebody has their water turned off? I never know.
I have no idea what's going on, but it's been a rough time, and there's other things too that I just won't go into, but that's been a really big stressor. So, it's just something that is really crazy. So I've been having to pack water back and forth, and that is really hard packing water back and forth. But we've saved every receptacle that we can get, pop jugs and uh, milk milk jugs and all that stuff, just to uh, to but we have these camp showers that
Yeah.
we have been washing our hands and stuff with, so it's just like a little sink. You turn it on and it runs like water, but you just got to keep it filled up and stuff like that. So thank God for those. But as for baths and stuff, we just been going down my mom's and
Yeah,
getting
thank God for our moms too.
thank God for our moms, definitely. But it's been rough. So, I don't know what we're going to do with that, but I guess we'll find out soon, won't we? We'll collect rainwater until we can go on with that. But
Candace is lucky that I don't live close because I would be going to wherever she goes, the water company or whatever. I'd be
oh my
raising Cain.
Oh yeah. Well, I went down there. It was nice the first time with the $6,000, almost $6,000 bill. And they're like, well, our guys know what they're doing. You got a leak somewhere. You just don't know where it is. And we have concrete. So even if it was under that concrete, that much of water to create $6,000 worth of water loss would have to be buckling or concrete or something because there's like little
There's,
cracks in our concrete that's been there since we've lived here.
mm,
And because it's, after you put concrete and stuff down, it's kind of on a mountain, your concrete will break a little because the stuff's settling,
yeah.
So it's not like it's solid concrete that wouldn't show a little water come through. You would see water, and it's been like drier than a cracker around here. So no water.
You know what I think? I think somebody at the water company's been shoveling a lot of manure.
It seems like I don't know what's going on there, Dana, but all the woman could say is our guys know what they're doing. We'll take 40% off of this if you get a plumber and show us that you are that you got, new pipes and stuff. Because we said we was going to reroute the pipes and stuff and all that good stuff. But now I'll hit with a $12,000, almost $12,000 bill. I mean, we couldn't.
Yeah, I'd be up in there, and Candace probably feels like this too. I'd be up in there. I'd say, I want you to tell me how you guys turned our water off, and I've got double the bill I had last time.
That makes no sense. I thought they're supposed to look at your meter every month. So why is there 2 months that's $6,000?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No,
If
it
they're
does
doing
not.
if they're doing their job and looking every month, why did they let me go $6,000?
Somebody probably thought they could get away with guesstimating, and it's like, their logic is, well, it was 6,000 last month. Let's add on
Gosh, I mean, who would even guesstimate $6,000? My phone bill, my water bill literally went from $60 a month to the next month being almost $6,000, and it over doubled the next month, and it had been cut off. How does that happen?
It don't. Somebody.
I'm gonna go up there, and I'm not going to be as nice. I'm always like, I want answers. I want to talk to the mayor. I want to talk to whoever's head over this, somebody. And if they don't do nothing, I'm going to the news.
Yeah, I definitely would.
I'm going to let people know, hey, this could be you. You could be getting a phantom $12,000 water bill. Somebody's dropping the ball big time,
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. That's just a little bit of my saga.
Blitzel says, Candace, I'm from New York. I'll call and make them cry if you want.
Yeah.
I think Blitzel's had to get pretty rough with some of these.
I'm telling you, it's big time crazy. Big time crazy. It's nobody expects to get a $6,000 water bill.
And they definitely don't get a $12,000 one after your water's
been cut off. I mean, what do you do? What would you do, Dana, if you opened up your water bill and it was $6,000?
You probably hear me screaming from all the way where you're at.
Oh my gosh. You about have to laugh sometimes because stuff just
it's so insane.
It is. And I told Dana earlier because I sent her a message earlier today, and I said I just sometimes feel like just running away and just never coming back. But I think everybody feels that way every now and then.
Yeah. Not just women either. Men feel like running too.
But like I said, you gotta laugh. You gotta get through it. You gotta make through it, and we'll figure out what's going on, one way or another. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll hear Candace screaming at those water people all the way where I'm at.
But you know what made it worthwhile today? Today's been a really stressful day, but opened up my mail my email, and I seen that we had a free pizza from uh, Little Caesar, or not Little Caesars, Pizza Hut.
Oh,
And
I read your story on Facebook.
yeah, and I said, "Well," I said, "that'd be a good, dinner before we go." And it's a medium pizza. That's enough for me, Chris, and our son. And I went and got the pizza. It was free, and that was a good little touch to a stressful day. I mean, hey, don't have to pay for it. And I went to pick it up, and I had been seeing my friends. I actually had forgot about it until I actually pulled up and she came to the window. I actually forgot about reading this, but I had been seeing some of my friends talk about this lady that works at Pizza Hut and how nice she was and how just like overtly great she was. Well, you see people talk about nice about people, but you know, you don't expect them to be this nice. So I went to the window, or pulled up to the window, and here she comes. Even before she opens up this window, she's just bursting with, a huge smile, just the really happy, upbeat voice, and just super, super like nice and appreciative. And she's like, "Oh, just one of those people, that could light up a room." And she just went above and beyond talking to me and, giving my pizza to me and stuff. And I said, "You must be the cheery lady that I've been seeing my friends brag about on Facebook." Something just in me told me to say something, because it's always nice to say something. And I've heard you, Dana, talk about how you like to compliment people whenever they're doing a
Mhm.
good job. And I said, I'm going to say this to her because it was true. I said, "You must be the cheery lady that I've been seeing my friends brag about on Facebook that works here at Pizza Hut." And she's like, "Oh my gosh." She said, "That makes me feel so good." She said, "Well, I'll just tell you this." And I'm just paraphrasing what she said. She said, "I believe that, that I want to give out what I want back, what
Mhm.
I want to give out the energy that I want somebody to give back to me. And I believe that when you're good to people, that will come back on you." And
Mhm.
I said, "Well, honey," I said, "you're doing good." I said, "Thank you very much." But she was just so appreciative, so nice. And I'm like, if everybody could be just a little bit like her, this world
Yeah.
would be such a better place. But I found out that she's a really talented singer.
Huh.
Somebody commented on that little appreciation post that I posted on um, Facebook, and she's a really talented singer and just a sweet person. I said, "That's just great. That's great. Somebody like that needs to be recognized." So um, it's always good to um, recognize people when they're good, because today's society, things aren't great. You don't come in
No.
contact with people like that very often. I always try to be good to people, but sometimes it's really hard. And to see somebody like that really makes your day. So that really made my day. So
Mhm.
I just wanted
And
to say that before we
and
got off
thank
here.
you for sharing that, Candace, because I like us to be able to share these
Yeah,
stories here and there. And some people might say, "Well, that has nothing to do with the movies." Well,
right.
no, but we can share stuff. That's part of what I think makes these streams personable.
Yeah.
Instead of being, you can be professional and personable at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel like, and we need that little personal touch
Oh,
to
yeah. Yeah.
these streams. I think that's why people keep coming back to them, or part of why they keep coming back to them. Blissful, you are exactly right that kindness is the greatest gift.
Yeah. It
Uh,
is. It really is.
and that kindness, like Candace said, is most of the time it's in short supply.
Well,
Uh,
it goes a long way too, Dana, because look at, I was having a crappy day.
yep,
But coming in contact with her made my day so much brighter, you
yep.
know? So, how many more people has she touched and give hope for the day
Hmm.
just by being kind? So, that's my little story for the day. But I've
That's
enjoyed this.
I have enjoyed it too, and like I said, I know Chris was feeling bad
Yeah.
because he wasn't up to doing this today, but like I say, Chris can come on here any dang time he wants to,
Yeah.
and he can talk about these movies. I will give him a forum to talk about these movies. So, um, Candace, share that with him again.
I will.
I told him on the message, but just
Well,
want to.
maybe we can watch the Into the Night together
Yeah.
and
Uh,
give our rating for it.
Unfortunately, at the time that I watched it, I couldn't find it for free. I did end up renting it for a few bucks,
We
like
may
$4
have
or
it
something.
on, like, VHS or something like that. Who did you say was really big into that? Who was the big name you had told me was in that movie? Was it
Well,
Dan Aykroyd?
Jeff Goldblum's
Jeff
in it. Dan
Goldblum.
Aykroyd does have a small part.
Okay.
Michelle Pfeiffer's in it. Jeff Goldblum and
Mm.
Michelle Pfeiffer are the two.
I'm gonna have to look because we have so many like VHSs and all that stuff. Um, and that could be one that we have. So Into the Night. Okay. I'm gonna look that one up and see if we can find that somehow. If not, we can just rent it. I'm sure that we can rent it.
Yeah,
Um,
I think $4 was all I had to pay to rent
that
it.
ain't bad. That's not bad. So, and especially you said it was a good movie. So,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
I've seen that that cover art before with Jeff Goldblum. Is
Uh-huh.
that Michelle Pfeiffer with him? Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen the movie, but I have seen that cover art. Probably at the VHS store or something or a
I think
poster.
Steve said it played on cable a lot
It
back in the day.
could had, yeah. I'm definitely interested in it. But anyway, this has been a good time. I'm glad that I come and got to do it because, like I said, today has been a kind of a rough day. So this has given me a chance to kind of wind down. I've been feeling really bad.
Mhm.
Um, so it's given me a chance to kind of shake myself out of feeling like bad, like physically bad, not like mentally bad. I feel a little bit better mentally, especially after coming in contact with that lady. But I feel better mentally doing this too because I get to spend time with you and everybody else. So
Yeah. We got, we had quite a few people on and off throughout this, and um if you missed it, you can watch it on the replay.
okay,
This will be up on YouTube, and if you think, oh dang, I forgot Dana was doing, Landis Confidential tonight, you can always watch it on the replay. You can even watch it tomorrow. You don't necessarily have to watch it tonight, unless the internet blows up. You will be able to watch this for some time to come. So I hope the internet doesn't blow up because I got to work tomorrow, and
oh,
I
we don't want one of those, Dana,
got
like we had with that. What was it, Microsoft stuff?
all the crowd strike nightmare.
Yeah,
Oh Lord, I,
that you all probably are still feeling the remnants of
I'm
the
gonna knock on
aftershock.
wood that for the majority of us it has eased up. Now there are a few computers that they could not fix.
Yeah.
The old blue screen of death, and so they're replacing those because
Mhm.
they said in the end it'd be easier and actually more economical to go ahead and replace them because some of them were old anyway. They were
Yeah.
slowing down, so they're just gonna, wipe
Still a
it.
headache though.
I
Still a
don't
headache.
ever want to see anything like that again. I know there's a lady working for the company that's in telecom that said at other jobs she had been through this isn't her first rodeo with something like
Oh,
that. And I was
no.
like, oh my gosh, you poor thing. This is the worst thing IT related I've ever went through.
You'll be writing that one down in the history books of your career, what you've
Remember,
had to
remember
deal
in
with.
2024 when CrowdStrike messed up?
You'll be like 80 years old saying, "I remember back in
Yeah.
2024." Ah, it was a horrible, horrible time.
Wait a minute, let me put my dentures in.
Oh, good. I know how it was. I mean, even Chris at his work, he even felt and even me in everyday life, like our bank, we couldn't
Yeah.
go and see how much money we had in our bank. It was just like all crazy, and we'd try to go shopping, and they're like, "Oh, we can't take credit cards." I was like, "Oh God, what's going?" Or
Just,
no, couldn't take cash. Couldn't take
mm,
cash because of it. And you would think it would be the other way around, and I was like, "Can't take
yeah.
cash." And the rare instance that I had cash on me, because I've never carried cash, was when I needed to use it. So I was like, this is crazy. This is just backwards crap.
Yeah, it was like the world flipped upside down
It
or
really
something.
was for a little
Now,
bit
Steve
there.
said he was glad that his company, he works for Ford,
Yeah.
it did not use CrowdStrike. I was like, you and maybe a handful of other people. It seems like the rest of the world was using that stupid piece of
My
stuff.
gosh.
Um,
It's the
but
crazy shit.
but anyway, I guess me and Candace will go ahead and get off here for the night because I've been drinking. Well, I've been drinking zero sugar cherry cola, the Big K brand from Kroger, and of course I got to go to the restroom. And I know y'all didn't need to know that, but I want to thank Candace for being on here with me tonight, so I didn't have to be on here. But I just feel like I'm so boring if I don't have somebody else on here
I
with
don't
me
think you are. I
um,
don't think you are. I think I'm boring anytime. So
no, you're definitely not boring, Candace. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says great live, Dana and Candace.
thank
And
you.
and also she says have a beautiful night, everyone. And yeah, let's get ready to tackle Tuesday. And I just want to tell everybody too that because this is Argento August, and I promised Victor there would be some Argento programming. Tomorrow, instead of Everybody Wants England will return in September. But for Tuesdays in August, for the remaining Tuesdays, I will be doing Argento, Sweet Argento. And don't ask
Ooh.
me what's on the tap for that, but I did come up with the name from the film Alice, Sweet Alice, in case anybody was wondering. And so I'm going to be talking about all things Argento, not this weekend, but the following weekend. The watch alongs will be Deep Red on Saturday and Tenebrae on Sunday.
Mm.
And I think the other one I'm planning to do will be I'm going to do Phenomena and probably Suspiria.
When you do Phenomena, I would like to be a part of that one.
Okay. Yeah. I'll probably do it on a Saturday. I'll probably do Phenomena on that next Saturday that I do them, and then Suspiria
Okay.
on a Sunday. Thank you, Blissful. Yes, I had 17
Woohoo!
17 new subscribers since Saturday.
That's a lot, Dana. I mean, really.
For a couple of days,
That's
yeah.
great.
I hope it continues. I want to thank all of you in case there's anybody watching or that actually was in here that subscribed.
Mhm. And they
Um,
may not know about our 1,000 subscriber bet that we had
yeah,
going on.
we'll talk about that if I can get to 1,000 subscribers for Deadites on Deck. I will do a Cheryl cosplay from Evil Dead, and Candace will do Mrs. Roper.
Don't ask us how we come up with that thing. That was just an on-whim thing. We were talking about Three's Company, and I said, I'll dress up as Mrs. Roper. So
And
that's how that came about.
if we can get Chris to do Mr. Roper, that would be
That would be
fantastic.
funny. Or Jack Tripper. You know how she liked Jack.
Oh, yeah. That might be even better to have him do Jack.
Yeah. That'd
You
be
think you
funny.
can talk him into it,
I
Candace?
might can or get him to dress up as Chrissy.
Get him a blonde
With the
wig.
beard, the pigtails.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, I might could talk him into something. He might do it. Oh my goodness.
yeah. But anyway, I want to thank everybody that was in the chat tonight with us, as well as those that maybe weren't chatting but were watching, as me and Candace talked about the films tonight, Trading Places, Twilight Zone, the movie, and Into the Night. And you may hear Candace talking about Into the Night here upcoming after
Yeah.
she gets a chance to watch it. And so I guess we're out of here for the night. We're off like a dirty shirt, like a couple of dirty shirts. And and I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off here, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Let's get some rest for Tuesday and treat Tuesday like one of those tackling dummies that they use for football practice or whatever. Don't they use those for football practice?
Yeah. Yeah.
But but anyway, we're gonna mess up Tuesday, and not in a bad way, in a good way. We're gonna show it who's boss, just like we
Oh,
did
yeah.
today. So we're out of here for the night, but we'll see everybody next time. So have a good night, folks.
See ya, guys.